Love you, Linda. Love you.
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing "Oh Happy Day."
One word prayer. Justice, where are you?
Okay, good evening, Justice Served TV. Linda Kenney Baden here. Before I bring Michael Bryant on for a special report, this is the time we're going to do the whole hour about the Burgess testimony and aperture. They're not going to get off scot-free here because we think they're at fault for not controlling their expert witness. And we have the documents, we've got the receipts. But let me tell you, we also remember when, before we bring Michael Bryant on, one of our people who lives right next where the South Lake office in Texas is supposed to be. Remember, Aperture apparently goes and buys different offices. They bought Crash Accident Consulting apparently in South Lake, Texas. Let's see if we can put a shot up of the outside of the screen up of South Lake, Texas, up of what it looks right now. That's the office. Guess what, everybody? Guess what? Exclusive here to Justice Served TV. That office is closed, okay? That office is closed, okay? Apparently, Aperture must have bought them, moved the South Lake office to Dallas, Texas, which is why Burgess, when he said his office was in Dallas, Texas on direct, but he received the data when he was in the South Lake office. So did he work for CAC? Did he work for Aperture? Did he say he worked for Aperture longer than he actually did? Or is it Aperture? Aperture. All I know is that BS can be BS or it can be a Bachelor of Science. Okay, so here is the front of the office. So we're going to have Michael Bryant is going to talk more about the Suite 100 of 540 Nolan Drive, which allegedly was once belonging to Aperture. So Michael Bryant, can we bring you on? There we have great pictures. We're not sure whether our correspondent in Texas wants to be noticed, but
I know we're having some audio issues, so I'll just forge ahead. Hold on a sec. I'll just forge ahead here. Thank you, Linda Kenney Baden. Michael Bryant here, Midtown Manhattan. So on the phone, and just as a precursor, obviously we know the testimony of Shanon Burgess was an explosion today. Could not have been worse. I don't know, maybe it could have been worse. I have a creative imagination, but we don't think it could be much worse. And so in looking into his background, this case that I know that Linda has been talking about, which was venued in Texas, we reached out to the office of the plaintiff handling the Glover case, and the name didn't ring a bell. When I asked him about Shanon Burgess, didn't ring a bell. He started doing some research. Oh, that guy. Admittedly, he said we never deposed him, never deposed the guy. The case settled before it got that far, but he gave me some interesting background on aperture, and for those who think that's a weird word, aperture is really just the the part on a camera that allows in light or closes off. That's the aperture. So they're shedding light on things, right? They're focusing the truth on things. Anyway, so he said that there was a firm called Miller and Associates, a smaller firm than Aperture, that was then either absorbed or folded into Aperture. And one of the things he said was that let's just say the reputation is not good. And although he couldn't comment specifically on Mr. Burgess because he never got that far, he did point out that the firm itself is somewhat questionable. He wouldn't go beyond that, but he did suggest that maybe he wasn't surprised by the concerns that we saw unfold today. Again, his case settled, so not an issue for him. I suggested you might have enjoyed it. You might have enjoyed cross-examining this guy, but he did not get that opportunity. So he asked me, do you know if he's still working there? And I said, well, he just finished testifying 2 hours ago, but I don't know. I don't know if he is or isn't. Good chance that he's not. But he was going to do some further research, get back to me with other thoughts that he might have. Probably not the guy to bring on and get into who Burgess was in the field, but it was very interesting insight just into how their office at Aperture is structured there and how they've been kind of absorbing smaller offices into their mix. It's really, it's a formulaic type of business. And so whether it's some sort of quasi Angie versus a brick and mortar operation. That's my gut feeling, that they do have obviously brick and mortar offices, but that they also will handle folks on a more virtual level. This guy's from Texas. We know that. He's now in an office in Texas. He was in an office 2 years ago in Texas, in the Dallas area. So I guess the big question, Linda, is whether or not he remains in that office or in the business at all. And I would love to be going back and forth with you on this, but as you know, I can't hear a damn thing. So I'm going to leave it to you. Great work this afternoon. I did catch some of that. Have a very good time, and I'll see you in the morning on Justice Herb TV. Thanks, guys.
All right, we're going to see him on his way to Dedham. I think I said Nolan Drive. That picture will. Can we put the photograph just back up real quickly? What makes sense. What he learned from Mr. NEGEM. That's the firm I believe he spoke to today. They were handling the case that was discussed in the federal court case, which we're going to take a look up in a second. The Jeffrey Glover and Teresa Glover case, where apparently there was allegedly another filing in federal court of a what the defense said today in the Karen Reed case was a phony CV. And this is from our today's Texas correspondent, one of our viewers. I don't know if she wanted to be identified, but she lives right down the street there. And here it is. We're going to show you the picture of it again. That's it. That's actually 540 Silicon Drive in Southlake, Texas. That's apparently where he said Mr. Burgess said he got the information from. He was in that office, and now he's been moved to the Dallas office. And it also makes sense because I called the office in Southlake, California last night and left a message for somebody that answered the phone, but it wasn't somebody. It was a computer or a program. Didn't say aperture. Okay, so they didn't, and no one responded as to a statement, obviously. But this office here has been closed, and it looks like they're a clearinghouse. They buy these small companies, and they're a clearinghouse, and then you can go to them and get assigned somebody to work on your case. So what we'd like to do today is take a look at. We can call this. By the way, Sandra Hunt, super sticker. Thank you, Sandra, so much for that. Thank you for being super sticker. Thank you so much for that. What we'd like to do, I think, is run a little bit of the testimony on how not to be an expert witness. Now, I'm going to say something. While I fault Mr. Burgess, okay, I also fault Aperture, right? Because they're the ones who really should be coming forward and discussing with this. And quite frankly, at this point, please don't, shall we say, heckle Mr. Burgess, because he's got obviously low self-esteem issues as it is to begin with, and we don't want anything else to go wrong with him than has already gone wrong. Now, I know that's of his own doing in terms of your CV and all, but there's some serious problems that are going on here, and we don't want to make them worse by having him being heckled. But by the same token, we're going to show the light on how the prosecution used a witness that they shouldn't have used, who was not qualified in our opinion, and how the defense was able to bring that forward with a judge who should have never allowed him to testify in the first place. So why don't we look a little bit about the Alessinator's testimony on recross, which is where this issue of the federal court false filing of a CV came into light.
So what I would like to do, Your Honor, at this time is to offer into evidence Exhibit E, and Exhibit FFF for identification.
As one exhibit?
As one exhibit.
All right, we'll do that.
And that would be the order.
Exhibit 193.
Thank you. May I hand it to the...
Yes.
Mr. Burgess, I am handing you, it is now in evidence as Exhibit 193. I would like to draw your attention to the fourth page, which is your CV, and further, if I could, sir, draw your attention to the category of education, where it says BGS. Is it correct that there you state Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration, University of Alabama - Birmingham, Alabama, comma, 2024? Did I read that correctly?
You did read that correctly. And this was filed in 2023.
Understood. So now what I'd like to do, Your Honor, is to, may I keep this for a moment, Your Honor, give it to the witnesses as needed. Thank you. With your Honor's permission, I would like to publish a document that is already in evidence.
Okay.
Actually, there may be two, 183 and 184. Let's start with 183. Let's expand it. And then, Mr. Wolk, do we have what has just been to publish as well? So what I'd like to do is to publish first, with the court's permission, Exhibit 193 that we were just talking about, so the jury can see what has been the subject of discussion. And sir, if you, Mr. Wolk, if you could just enlarge, all we need is the education section. Now, Mr. Burgess, as I heard it correctly in questions from Mr. Brennan, you answered the question that whether you had ever filed a document that misstated your educational background in a court. Do you recall that question asked of you?
Yes, I
And
did.
your answer was no, correct, sir?
Correct.
So let's look at this document, which we've just gone through, was filed in federal court in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Texas, Marshall Division, which is a federal court. And attached to it is your CV, and in the line of education, it lists under BGS, Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration, University of Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, 2024. You see that, sir?
I do, yes.
Now,
All right, let's stop
You
it right there for
stated,
a second. I want to
uh,
make a point, if we could.
in line with what I'd like
Let's stop right. I want to make a point. Be a lessinator. Bob Alessi had to go through a lot of stuff. Now, this when you try high-profile cases, this is what's happened. People come forward to tell you about cases, and you just heard the exclusive reporting from Justice Serve TV. We talked to the attorney on the case where this CV was filed in the Eastern District Court in near Marshall, Texas, and we spoke to him. That's what Michael Bryant gave you the information. It was from Mr. Negam's firm, NEGEM Law, and we asked him to come on, but Michael Bryant spoke to him. And we also, as you know, had the picture from Blessed in Texas, who went to the office there in where South Lake, where he was, and it's been closed. Why? Because really what's happening is aperture is a clearinghouse to buying all these small reconstruction companies, and then they moved. That's why he said he was in Dallas when he issued, but he got the information when he was in their South Lake office. Probably no one supervising him and all. So what this is the CV that we saw that was on that was without the 2024, I believe, that was on the Aperture website. So now we're having a fourth CV that basically is lying because he's not matriculating there. He's not going there. All right. He's not there. And hi, Will the Glower is in our chat. Yes, he is. Okay. What's up? Sup, guys? Okay. So we're going to look at this because Judge Beverly Cannoni made the lessinator walk through hoops to get this in, right? We were sure that she wasn't. She made him walk through hoops. Yet she's supposed to be the gatekeeper. She's supposed to be the one that keeps bullshit testimony out. So that's why we asked in our thumbnail for tomorrow, BS or BS, okay? She's supposed to have kept this stuff out by somebody who is not qualified, who is simply not qualified. And he said it today, he's not qualified to be an accident reconstruction. That's Judge Welser. Well, we're going to give you some surprise information because in those federal court filings, there was a lot more that you're going to want to know about. All right. Well, let's go on a little bit further as to listening to a witness that had no business testifying as an expert witness. And it goes to show you this is the lengths that somebody will go to, a state will go to, the government will go to convict somebody because they want to get you and they can't fathom that they don't have the evidence to do that. They will take someone like this. Let's listen.
to do is is there any qualification whatsoever in that line, that reference to BGS, qualifications at all, explanation, sir? Is there anything?
I don't know what you mean.
It's just a statement, right? There's words there, there's nothing after it that explains what's intended, correct?
Correct.
Now what I'd like to do, Your Honor, is to go to what was filed in this case, which is in evidence, and we'll go to 183 and then 184. Now, in what has been filed in this case, there is a currently pursuing at the end after University of Alabama - Birmingham, Alabama, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Let's go back, please, to Exhibit 193. There is no currently pursuing there, is there, sir?
There is not, but that was filed in 2023, so that would be an expected graduation date of 2024.
Okay, so this document was filed in 2023. However, there's nothing in this document that in any way leads the reader to believe anything other than the degree is obtained on 2024, correct?
Correct.
So the only way somebody in the court system or a judge or a jury would know anything about this is to have to know about court filing dates, correct? I'll ask it another way, Mr. Burgess. You know how to write. Let's go back to 183 and 184.
Let's.
You know how to write currently pursuing on your CV, correct?
Correct.
And writing currently pursuing lets the reader know that you don't have that degree, correct?
Objection. In that form, sustained.
You intend by writing currently pursuing, don't you, sir, that anybody reads this to know that you do not have a bachelor degree, correct?
Correct.
Now let's go back to what you filed in what was filed in federal court in that case. And it does not have the words currently pursuing, correct?
It does not.
So the reader, it doesn't have that verbiage, correct?
Correct.
So isn't it the correct answer that you did file a document, your CV, in this federal court case that misstates the status of a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and Business Administration?
Objection. Sustained.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Okay, so now let's stop it right there, because now what's going to happen is she makes him through all this stuff that he knows how the court system works, and you have to go through the attorneys, and the attorneys file it. But we all know he's responsible for giving his CV. Come on. You know, you're going to make the defense jump through hoops to get there, but she did let them jump through hoops. She did give them that wide latitude to jump through hoops. Now, let me go tell you, Blessed in Texas, no, you don't need to go to the Dallas office. Thank you very much for going to the South Lake office and reporting for us and seeing what was there. I think that was an exclusive that we had, and also that our discussion that we broke an exclusive with Michael Bryant at the beginning, who talked to the attorney for this case in court. So what I'd like to do is, for a second, because let's take a look at who else may have been victims here of Shanon Burgess not having the required qualifications. All right. And I actually had to look at his CV, and I know that we have that. It's a full CV that he filed in the Texas case. Okay, this is what it looks like. All right. And I actually have the case number on up top, and we were able to pull it out. And let's see if we can pull it up and go to page 3, if we could. Start with page 1 and then go to page 3. That's of the CV in the court filings. All right. And it will say, you know, that he has a Bachelor of Science, Birmingham, Alabama, 2024. Okay. So his excuse is that, well, I'm going to get it in 2024. He wasn't matriculating. He wasn't enrolled. He wasn't doing anything. So we do need to pull this up for everyone to see if we can. All right. That's a document. I guess we're having a little trouble with the document, so let me just read it to you. All right, we didn't see that, but when I was perusing this after, page 3 was really interesting. First of all, he presented something to utilizing digital forensics and fraud investigations. I'm just going to make a little dig here to the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. There we have it in Texas. That's him. There you go. If we can zoom in on the top part, that's what they showed in court with his picture. You know, there you see, it's his CV, Shannon with the 1 N, aperture. Okay, and then we go to page 3. Okay, I know this is asking a lot here today because we have so much to get through. We have the certified issue of fraud examiners right up top. And he should know about fraud, because we're going to look at this about whether Aperture and he are committing fraud upon their clients, the court, and all. I'm sure the feds are really interested in this testimony. And remember when he said he was peer reviewed with all these publications? Well, on page 3, look at that. There's one publication. Forensic methods for dealing with damaged ACM, ECM components. Okay. Volume 12, issue 2, 2018. Collision is the magazine. Quote, the International Compendium for Crash Research. So I think a perfectly appropriate question would have been with him. You know here, sir, that since you are saying you're peer-reviewed in collision, that the medical examiner here testified that there was no collision. There would have been an objection, but I think that would have been a perfectly appropriate. He's peer-reviewed in what? This is it's a compendium for crash research, okay? It's not a peer-reviewed journal, all right? It's important when someone says their credentials, and this is how they're peer-reviewed and validated. This is BS or BS. Okay, you make that call, because tomorrow we're going to spend the show, on the aftermath of BS or BS, okay? So that's what's in there. But even more importantly, when you file in federal court, okay, there is two other things that we found that were very important. The first was the Defendant Graphic Packaging International LLC's witness list. And the case, by the way, which we'll pull up in a second, is Jeffrey Glover and Teresa Glover versus Graphic Package International. What I want to pull up next is I'm going to show everybody. It's going to look like this, okay? It's going to look like this. And I'm going down to the last little paragraph, which looks like this. And what is that? That's the defendants explaining their trial witness list, which he was pulled on, right? It says, Shannon with a 1N, R. Burgess, Aperture, LLC, A, investigation and reconstruction of the accident. Today, he said he wasn't able, as we're doing that, he wasn't qualified to be an accident reconstructionist. But here he is being represented as an accident reconstructionist, right? He's going to testify as to the driving conditions on the date in question, the contributing factors, the acceleration, the forces and mechanisms involved in the incident, and the physics and physical components involved in the incident as alleged by plaintiff, okay? This is in this federal court case. This is pretty much garbage. He is as qualified to testify as to those things as I am qualified, as I said earlier, to be an astronaut going into space. Now, who's responsible? Him or Aperture, who apparently has no control over oversight over the people that they're putting out there, okay? It's really ridiculous, all right? So that's what we learned here. By the way, we can pull up the front of the lawsuit, and I will read to you what it's about as we're pulling it up. This is, apparently it did settle because Graphic Packing International, remember, Aperture is not working for the plaintiff here. They're working for the defense here because they don't want to pay money, but apparently the case did settle. And apparently that group that Aperture bought, which Mr. Burgess was part of, okay, here's the allegations that he was, after picking up a loaded trailer that had been plaintiff unloaded by Defendant Graphic Packaging International, it rolled over on the plaintiff, causing him to sustain severe damage. Now, the trailer is a gigantic trailer, okay? This is a serious rollover. This was a serious rollover. So when you have this kind of stuff in federal court, you also have to, as part of your documents, and again, we have them right here. You have to, by the way, I have a copy of his report, all right, which later on we'll try to see if we can make some of it available on our Twitter page, but it may take us to tomorrow. He gave a full report, all right? This is, by the way, I know my camera, this is the trailer. You know what a trailer is. You don't need me to explain it. That's the lawsuit. This is a trailer allegedly rolled over. And this is this whole report that Shanon Burgess took and gave his opinions on. It's Exhibit A. It's all, and he's got some references, the Traffic Accident Investigation Manual, the Traffic Accident Reconstruction Manual. There you go. That's all we need is that picture. So he's opining that indeed, that it wasn't the loading, that it was something with the plaintiff, that the plaintiff causes this tractor to roll over on him, okay? At unsafe speed or load not secured or something like that. This is what this gentleman was doing for this poor person who was injured in this accident. Now, what's important in federal court, let me just advise you, when you're in federal court and now in many state courts, and I think we discussed this a little, you have to tell people where you have testified, okay? Now, and surprisingly enough, he has had only 2 depositions and 2 trials, all right, from 2018. And he alluded to something like that in court, okay? 2 depositions and 2 trials when he gets to be the expert appointed on this case. And it's the 4-year testimony. It was 2, and then it was 5, and all and change. But when he was doing it, it was 4 years that he had put in federal court every place he testified. Not very much, right? Not very much. He was testified in a trial in January 2023 on digital forensics, okay, in a criminal case, State of Oregon versus Samuel Castro Muro, okay, all right. So let me tell you, I'm sure that whatever happened in Samuel Castro Muro, if it was a conviction, the defense is looking at that right now. He testified in a trial in September 2018 as an accident reconstruction in a United States federal court. In the United States federal court in Mississippi, there. He testified in that. Demetrius McCon versus Adolfo Perez and D&D Express Transport Corporation. I'll guarantee you was testifying as the defense expert so that the plaintiff didn't get money, but he testified in a trial as an accident reconstructionist. So I'm sure that those people are looking at that right now if it wasn't satisfactory. Then he had 2 depositions, Reynaldo Sanchez versus D&T Reliable Transportation in October of 21st as a digital forensics in Bexar County, Texas, okay? And then he had another deposition in June 2022, accident reconstruction in Midland County, Texas, in the district court. So he testified in another federal court, right, in 2018. He knows exactly what is required to be filed in federal courts and state courts. And 2 of them, he testified as an accident reconstructionist, which he said he wasn't qualified to do in this case. Now, what makes him unqualified? Did somebody complain? Did somebody find that he's not qualified? And all? Because in my opinion, he's not. He would never see the light of day in any case I ever had, especially after I read this reconstruction report that he filed in the Glover case. All right. Now, you can all go on Pacer and you can find out exactly what we have found out. All right. And let me say, Sheila Duffy has a question. Do you think all this Burgess stuff is having the same effect on the jury as it has on us? We can find out so much more information than they can. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that because we know the answer in light of the fact that this guy was brought in as a savior. He says on his ex-Twitter account that he loves being called a wizard, okay? Pulling information out that other people can't find, right? He says that, right? So, you know, that's a real interesting issue that he's got with regarding his self-esteem. That's why I said, don't go heckle him. But, you know, if you're going to put yourself out as an expert and you're going to have these false qualifications and you're going to, shall we say, increase your supposedly capabilities, all right? If anything happens to him, you're responsible, and the judge for allowing this to happen, and the prosecutor for calling him. Because remember Trooper Paul, which we all laughed at last week? Well, even Barstool Sports, I put him out on our Twitter, ex-Twitter account, had a whole article about how this was so much worse for the prosecution. So I assume that if people that aren't doing criminal work, such as Barstool Sports is usually doing sports, right, are interested in this case and see this as a tremendous backfire that it is, that the jury must see it. Now, does that mean what I am worried about is we all know from the last trial, we all know about the inverted video, which didn't have the same effect. So that's what I worry about. Yes, that we all say, or at least we say here at our network, right, our streaming network, that it's the prosecutor's duty to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. And we don't see it. And I think the only thing you have as an attorney is your credibility before a jury. And I can't imagine how the jury believes that Hank Brennan, standing before them, put this guy in front of them to give statistics and facts and all that. I don't know about you, but I couldn't follow them except for the fact that all I know is that everybody else didn't find anything. He finds something and he becomes a savior to move the timeline where John O'Keefe has to get hit at a different, within different seconds and moving Whiffin's timeline. And by the way, Whiffen apparently was the one person on his article that said it was really good from what I am understanding here. So it's all kind of really disgusting, isn't it? Isn't it disgusting? We're supposed to be the whole country, the whole country's watching. We're supposed to be the country that does things right, and yet we have this going on right in front of us. So I don't know what's happening. Now, with regard to this, before we go back to watching some of this incredible hallucination cross-examination, let me just tell you that tomorrow, Christina Hanley, who started as a criminalist today, she's not going to testify. What's going to happen tomorrow is that they're moving her over to have somebody come in, probably somebody who's on vacation. So could it be Dr. Welcher from Aperture? That would make sense following Burgess. Could it be Dr. Ezek Wolf? He's the hired brain gamma ray surgeon out of Florida who has to get on because we don't have very many people left. We have the dog tester about the DNA that you're not moving Hanley all the way to Thursday for that. This is somebody who's going to take a whole day. So it's either got to be Welcher or Ezek Wolf. Could it be Dr. Crosby? It could be Dr. Crosby. I really don't know because they didn't say. So we'll have to keep checking on Twitter and we'll have to see what's happening. But, again, we here at Justice Served TV blame three people. First of all, we blame Shanon Burgess. You shouldn't be expanding on your qualifications like that. You shouldn't come in. And by the way, speaking about blaming people, let me just interrupt myself, okay? Hank Brennan represented to that court on Friday that he never knew that there was going to be an updated report until May 8th when he got it. Surprise. Oh, it was a surprise, Your Honor, right? All right. We'll give you all the time in the world we need so you can have a good cross-examination, Mr. Alessi. It turns out, and then yesterday, with the report which says, pursuant to your request, and then Hank Brennan said, well, we didn't request you, right? And yesterday, Mr. Know-it-all, Shanon Burgess, with the one N, said that was just a cut and paste, right? Trying to cover really Hank Brennan's ass, okay? Just 1 second before we... Just let me stop. Let me just finish this one point first, and then we'll go back into it. All right.
And he received this report.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, this is fine.
I was surprised to receive it. I welcomed it. We turned it over on May 8th. There was no delay. It's been a week now. The defense has had this information.
Okay, that's the representation. That was Friday, okay? And then yesterday, Burgess says, no, it's just a cut and paste. But today, Burgess said something that, we talked when he was under redirect by Hank Brennan. We talked on May 7th, and I told you to send the report when it was finished, right? That was on May 7th. And yes, that's exactly what happened. So Hank Brennan lied to that court, all right? Judge Kenney has allowed that to happen, allowed this man to testify, has taken no action against him. There is no grave concern. You just saw it for yourself. I remembered it. I can remember what happened on Friday. And then, and apparently that's why the line says pursuant to your request. Burgess did respond pursuant to the request. He may have done the report, which I don't believe, or started it. I don't believe he did it without talking to anybody. I just simply don't. Because remember, his contact had been with Trooper Tully and other people. But that's me. I just don't. So I blame him. I blame the judge for allowing this farce to happen, right? I blame Hank Brennan and the Commonwealth for allowing this to go on. So what did go on that absolutely backfired to Aperture, who, by the way, was one of their gold sponsors of the Massachusetts Bar Association. Dinner was on May 8th. Oh, surprise, surprise, surprise. Tables were $7,500 for a table of 10. I guess they thought they were going to get a lot of work out of Shannon with an N's testimony. Shannon unqualified, in my opinion, with an N's testimony, okay? And we'll see if Aperture responds by dealing with anything and taking down his credentialing and using him in the future as an expert, which probably he didn't matriculate because he probably, in fairness, didn't have the money when he said things in life happens. Because if he's only been hired 4 times to testify in a period from 2018 to 2025, that's not very much as an expert witness. And so maybe that's why you feel the need to now develop what you say is your software that can find things that nobody else can find by downloading the data. All right, so we've seen that. Is it possible or shall we end the show with the lessee's grin? Why don't we play some more of a lessee's cross-examination? And then we have a very special treat with you because we're going to show you Baba Lessee before this cross-examination happens. So let's watch a little more of this cross-examination on recross.
You stated again, sir, that you have not filed a document that misstates your educational background, correct?
Correct.
And the last time I'll cover it, you know how to put currently pursuing on anything to do with a Bachelor of Science, correct?
Correct.
A Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration does not exist as an offered degree at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, does it?
Sure. So that is an error. Clearly, BGS stands for Bachelor's of General Studies, and that should have a with minor in Mathematics and Business Administration.
What is clear from that document that BGS stands for a Bachelor of General Studies? What is clear in that document about the definition of that acronym?
That is a known acronym.
Let's go back
Where?
to Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration. That degree does not exist. It is not offered at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, correct?
No, that is not.
So therefore, an incorrect statement about your educational background was filed in a federal court in Texas, correct?
Yes, it was.
Okay, let's stop it right there. Let's stop it right there. Let's get to some of these questions, and then we're going to go right back to it. Brian B., thank you, Brian, for the donation. Michael Bryant may need it tomorrow because he's headed back up to Dedham, okay? And he's going to be in that buffer zone, all right, or First Amendment zone, as we say. I decomplied, decomplied Whiffen's Artex, okay, and he deliberately made misrepresentations in his demo, okay? I left the lessee a voicemail. How can I get this information to the defense? Leaving him a voicemail, probably the best thing that you can do is getting it to defense and perhaps sending it to his website, okay? He must have an email that's on the firm website. Or Jackson has an email that's on his firm website. That's all I could suggest to you. Because, yeah, I mean, that's obviously how this information from Texas got to them. Somebody, although Mr. Nejum didn't say how this information got to the defense, it had to be somebody who knew that this case existed and knew the bad reputation, as they said, as Michael Bryant reported in our exclusive at the top of the hour of the show, that Southland firm had a terrible reputation, didn't know specifically Burgess, but didn't know about the office that had been in there before Aperture had bought them, for which apparently he was a part of. Josh H., I completed my AAS, BA, and MA. Whoa, wow. While on active duty. Yes, yes, on active duty, we bow. Okay. Constantly traveling across the globe. I don't buy his I want to finish, but life happens excuse. Yeah, I don't buy it either. I think he could have said, look, I didn't have the money to do it. I wanted to do it. This is what I wanted to do. I couldn't do it. Because he got his, you don't go to complete 3 years and then go get your associate's degree. Something happened. There's something more about that happened too, because I was watching last night. I was watching Aiden, Dr. Turtleboy, and he had these commencement programs for 2 years at 2 different locations in Alabama that says that he was getting his degree or something. And clearly those had to be made up and then put on the internet. I don't know, when you get that deep sometimes, when you get really that deep, things happen. All right. That again, the judge is supposed to have been the gatekeeper. She shouldn't have allowed it in. The prosecution is supposed to search for justice and the truth. He shouldn't have been using it. But Hank Brennan appears to have trying to win this at all costs. And when somebody comes to you and says, "I can solve this for you," right? I can solve this for you. That's what happens. All right. So why don't we look a little bit more about this recross-examination? Because we're going to end this show tonight when we get this nearly 7 o'clock with the very surprise of the lessonator. Not that he's going to be on. Well, he's going to be on, but he's going to be on by what our mods have done. Let's go. Let's watch.
That's it, Mr. Lessee?
That's it.
Okay. Is there anything?
There is.
Okay.
The document that the attorney just showed you, did you submit that to the federal court?
No, I did not.
Did you ever see that document before it was filed?
No, I did not.
The document says 2024 for a degree. Is there a presumption whether you had it or expected it if that document was filed in 2023?
Yes, there is.
And what is the presumption if it was filed in 2023?
Objection, Your Honor, respectfully.
So presumption,
No.
we'll strike that.
Okay. He asked if there was any designation to make it clear. If it says 2020, if it was filed in 2023, and it says 2024, what was your expectation at that time as far as your degree?
That I would complete my degree in 2024.
When you didn't complete your degree in 2024 as you expected, did you then change your CV
Yes, I did.
to accurately reflect the change in your status?
Yes, I did.
And what did you change it to?
Currently pursuing.
Why didn't you finish your degree in 2024?
Sure. So,
Objection, Your Honor, Ms. Gold.
No, I'm going to allow it.
as most people can probably relate, work, family, and life many times get in the way. So, as a personal objective, I would like to finish my bachelor's, but again, work and life gets in the way.
Did you ever represent to a court that you had a degree that you didn't earn?
No, I have not.
He asked you a number of questions about this 2023 filing, but didn't ask you any questions about the data. Does your opinion regarding the data change in any way in light of his questions about a 2023 filing that you didn't file and someone filed on your behalf?
Objection, Your
The
Honor.
objection is sustained. I'm going to strike that question.
No further questions.
Okay, let's stop it there before we go
Thank
into.
you.
Oh, no, he's finished. Okay, he's finished. All right. So I thought there was another recross or whatever. Blessed in Texas, who did legwork because she lives near there. I can also add that South Lake, Texas is near being highest tax area in Texas. One pays a fortune to live or have a business there. It's a very wealthy suburb of Dallas, right? Yet, we see that wealth doesn't mean everything, does it? Okay, right. And I saw a comment here about, let me see, Kay Young just says, Linda, my husband's cousin is director of the Executive Office for United States Attorneys. Do you think he could do anything about this, Judge? I don't know. Massachusetts has their own thing, right? She's very popular judge in Massachusetts, right? Extremely popular judge in Massachusetts. So I don't know what can be done. I think the only thing that can be done is that we see, which is that we all talk about this, right? This is an embarrassment. This is an embarrassment to the Massachusetts courts. This is an embarrassment to let this in. Right. He's currently pursuing, you're right. He's currently pursuing a degree in something that doesn't exist. He completed his AA in 2015. It's all BS. And I don't mean a Bachelor of Science. It's BS. You know it. I know it. The question is, does the jury know it? And then does the jury turn off on Hank on anything else he has to offer? Quite frankly, I found myself today when Miss Hanley got on the stand of kind of like, almost like, da-da-da. It was like going in one ear and out another, right? Brian B, thank you, Brian B. Is everyone hitting like and subscribe? It's free. And if you're joining us from Twitter, please hit like and subscribe. Become a subscriber here. It helps us get to you more and to all these wonderful people who have been following us and making this network, small network, grow in the 6 months we've been around. Just went over 13,000 subscribers, hope to go over 15,000 by hopefully the end of next week, all because of your encouragement and all here that we're here. And that's why we have such great people. That's why we had exclusives by the end of the month. That's why Mr. Negum, I think it's pronounced actually, talked to us earlier about the case in Texas for which we had the documents. So we were able to show you those. I don't think anyone's shown you those documents. So let's get all your questions so we can answer them now. You're absolutely right. And also, that's why we were able to give you the other exclusive, the Blessed in Texas. So great. Live there. To find out that South Lake office is no longer in existence. And by the way, the South Lake office that I called last night, that supposedly of Aperture, as you know, I told you somebody else, some other reconstruction firm answered it. I left a message for the office manager with the 3 questions I suggested. Are you going to give a statement? Is Mr. Burgess going to be fired? Basically, what are you planning to do to make this better? And of course, no one got back to me. All right. No one got back to me. I didn't expect that, but we have reached out. Okay. With regard to it. So, you saw 2 things you wouldn't see here, mainly because of who we are. People are willing to talk to Michael Bryant, Emmy Award winning. They're willing to talk to me. They're willing to, and you, our subscribers, are willing to go that extra step and really become part of the show, and we all love you for it. So that was Hank Brennan, right? That was Hank Brennan. Now, let me see. Let's get all of your questions in here before we tell it to Mr. Alessi. Thank you, Brian B, though, for telling you please hit like and subscribe. Remember, his whole point today and yesterday of having Mr. Burgess on was because Aperture had believed to Welcher that Karen Reed struck John O'Keefe with their SUV, and we've gone through this at 12:31:38 to 12:31:43. But it was impossible because Ian Whiffen had, during his testimony, that John O'Keefe was interacting with his phone until 12:32:16. So the whole point of this gobbledygook that we heard, okay, with data points here and data points there, and this point and that point and all, was to move that, so that that the hit had to come, and then John O'Keefe had to be disabled. So that the last interaction by John O'Keefe with his phone had to become before the hit. Forget the fact that we have the circles that put him in the house. Forget the fact that he went up 3 flights or down 3 flights of stairs on his health data. This was trying to undo that. Did it convince you? By the way, Joey Kane, thank you. Gifted Justice Serve TV 5 memberships. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's about 12, I think, today that you've gifted. Yeah, you're so generous. And all. So that's what really, that's exactly what his job was. His job came in and he thought he'd be famous by doing it. Well, sir, you are famous. The question is, though, did the jury buy everything? Did the jury buy everything he said or anything he said? Is a jury going to say, well, you know, I don't believe all the stuff from the cell phones? Well, I didn't believe what he was saying, because what did he say? My phone and my Alexa are not in sync. Well, every time I look at them, they seem to be in sync. All right. And also, he took out a chip that I think we'll hear more when the ARCA people get on. He took out a SIM card that was not supposed to have been taken out of Karen Reed's car. It was for in situ placement, in situ reading. Okay, once you take it out, you ruin it. And what happened is when he took it out, he couldn't get it back in the car to get the car to work. You know, it wasn't going to work between her car and it wasn't going to work with the exemplar car. It wasn't working. It just wasn't working right. Okay, and yes, that's on the chip off, right? Because he thought he could get more information, and he ruined it. He ruined it. And not only that, he said that there was no, you know, the reason why he wanted to do this because there was more information to get. Well, what happened? There wasn't any more information to get because the expert didn't know gigabits from gigabytes. Now, I may not know how big a gigabyte is or how big a gigabit is, but I know there's a difference, and I'm not getting paid $350 an hour. All right. You know, so I say to you, BS, or was he really looking for his BS? Okay, so here we are. Wrestler's mom, Linda, I'm in Oregon. I want to know more about the case here in Oregon that Shannon was involved in. How can I find this information out? Okay, so first let me read you the case name again. And I don't know how Oregon's a little weird about the public files. For instance, the death certificates don't get published for 50 years until after somebody dies. But it's from Washington County Circuit Court, Oregon State Court. State of Oregon versus Samuel Castro-Muro, January 2023. Okay, supposedly he did digital forensics. All right, fine. State of Oregon versus Samuel Castro-Muro, M-U-R-O, trial January 23 in Washington County Circuit Court, Oregon State Court. Criminal case number, by the way, 18 CR 82986. Okay, 18 CR 82986. So I think if you have a way to look it up there, if there's any computerized records to look that case up, like in federal court, we have Pacer. That's how we can look it up. You should be able to find who represented Samuel Castro-Muro and what this case was about. Because I am sure their attorney should be looking at that right now if he was hired by the, well, he's got here plaintiff, P or D. It's the state, so not the plaintiff. He puts P or D on his thing. I mean, when I look at this, that's really, you know, it's for federal. He puts P or D. So anyhow, so I assume he was hired by the state of Oregon. Usually defense don't usually have a lot of money to hire digital forensic people unless they really have a lot of money, you know, and all. But you know, if you need, email us at justiceservetv@gmail, and we can send you a screenshot of if you didn't get that, Wrestler's mom. And then you're going to have to be on your own in Oregon to see how they do it. Because as I said, Missy Mayhem points out today, Burgess is still on the aperture site. I can't believe it. So when we say he's not, there he goes. There's that handsome face of tells. Tells. You know, did you notice that when he was uncomfortable, he did this? Okay. Yes, I say that in a shall we say, snarky, loving manner. But I think when you come to testify in a criminal case, because the stakes are so high, you better be pretty honest about your credentialing. Okay, there you go about his expertise, which, by the way, the defense was focused on a theme that he lied. Okay, his credentialing, and they would focus on his credibility. There's probably a lot more they could have gotten here with regard to that peer review and all, but they didn't want to subtract to their theme. So I promise you all that we would end your show, right? We would end this show not on a down note, but on a really fun note. So I'd like to present to you Bob Alessi before he started his cross-examination, after they came back from a sidebar, and I think what they were looking at was probably the federal court stuff. Okay, so why don't we see the Alessinator in all of his glory? It's coming, I promise. It's coming, I promise. It's just a build-up. I'm like Alessi. I'm building up to us playing it. Okay, we're getting there. Promise. Promise. It's a build-up. We're waiting for Dizzy. We're waiting for Bob Alessi and the smile. Okay, that's what we're waiting to play. All right, I promise. I'm gonna get it for you. In the meantime, please hit this like button and subscribe button. I'm getting for you. I promise it's coming. Okay. The Alessi smile that Oasis Cat did for us that she put in the drive. All right, Bob, the Cheshire Cat smile. There we go. All right, they're back. Let's see if we can glean what happened. Oh, look at that smile from Alessi. That's like a dagger coming at you with that smile. Oh, I love that. I would love to play that as a look at that. Look at that. Look at that grin from Alessi. Okay. Yeah, and can we do it now at regular speed?
Go back to slide 40, please.
Let's do it at regular speed. Here we go. Let's see if we can glean what happened. Oh, look at that smile from Alessi. That's like a dagger coming at you with that smile. Oh, I love that. There you go again. Want to do it one more time? Let's do it one more time. Let's watch Bob the Alessinator. Right, they're back. Let's see if we can glean what happened. Oh, look at that smile from Alessi. Smile from Alessi. Look at that smile. Glean what happened. Oh, it's like an assassin coming at you. Okay, and I think that was when he won the sidebar, that the judge was going to allow him to bring in all this. This is the federal court filings. I mean, he was going to be able to talk about it. All of this is the federal court filings. I have it in my little hands right here. So today, for watching that, you got the Alessi smile, okay? You've got Michael Bryant's exclusive report talking to the attorney who represented the Glovers in the case that Alessi just won. And you also had, not only with regard to that, you just had the case. We got to go through the case itself too, right? Something you probably didn't see on all the other tubers that are covering this. And you get the reward of Bob Alessi's Cheshire smile, or the Assassinator. We're going to post this on next Twitter so you can all see it again and all. And then tomorrow we have our thumbnail. We're going to start at 8:50 again, right? Yeah, what a demonic grin. Mine or his? I thought it was his. I mean, if Bob Alessi grins at you like that, right? You better know something good is not coming for your case. And I'm sure that Shanon Burgess, remember the judge made him stand back a little bit? With Shanon Burgess, he said he could stand it, but could you just move backward a little bit? Bob Alessi, I think, was in the juror's lap by the time he moved back. Everybody knew in that courtroom what was coming. The only person who didn't care, it seemed, was Hank Brennan, who decided to soldier on, and Aperture, who decided to soldier on. He's still on the website, and Shanon Burgess, who decided to soldier on. Well, we're also soldiering on, and we're going to bring you the truth. And the way we see it, we don't know if the jury sees it that way. We don't know what happened that night, and we're going to tell you that. And we don't think the state has proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt, but we'll continue to monitor with all of you here. And our own Michael Bryant tomorrow, now I'll be on at 8:50, but when he gets on the air, he's going to be up and dead. So thank you all. Thanks, Blessed in Texas, for your continued help and your continued support. And thank all of you. And I'm Linda Kenney Baden. Please, before you go, hit the like, subscribe, share button. And as Michael Bryant would say, try to do the right thing. And I'll see you at 8:50 in the morning.
Riding flames, they charge with